Peace, 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 peace. Seed talk, stuff to make your seeds walk. You know how we do it. Um, I got my man Chris here, man.
It's
Introduce
good, man.
yourself and tell him who you are, man. A fellow comedian and whatnot. Tell him who you are.
I am Chris Zapata. I am a comedian, writer, actor. I also call myself a spiritual activist because I try to go. I follow truth, and so I try to go against the grain of any trends that are coming up. But we can get to that later.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I wanted to start a series on seed.
hmm
You feel me? Where I
hmm
talk to fellow comedians, male
hmm
and female,
Right.
of all different race and genders, you know, because we exist in a cloth
Mm.
that a lot of people don't understand.
Sure.
Comedians get the power and the healing
Mm.
exponent of humor.
Right.
Get it? And we are unique human beings because we laugh at a lot of stuff
hmm
because we know it's like someone tickling you.
hmm
Not all laughter
hmm
is consensual.
Mm.
Always bring people back to the time when you were younger. Feel me? And
hmm
someone tickle you.
hmm
It's not funny, but
Right.
you laughing
Yeah.
because laughter and humor a lot of times is not consensual.
Mm.
You'll laugh to put you at comfort. You'll laugh to put you at ease.
hmm
So when we thinking about that, Chris Zapata,
hmm
what was your upbringing that led to you using humor as a healing mechanism? Like, what's your life like? Where you from? Who your mom? Who your dad?
I was born and raised in Seattle. My whole family was. My Zapata is my grandfather's last name, and so my grandfather moved here from the Philippines years ago. I don't want to misquote, like maybe somewhere in the early 1900s. He met my grandmother who moved here from Alaska. She was Native American, and so like all of us, my mother's family was a little dysfunctional, and so she was trying, and so but she was excuse me. She went to Garfield in high school, grew up in the Central District. You know what I mean? And so um, was the whole story of she was trying to better her life because she came out of a chaotic family. I think my grandmother, I think, was bipolar. There was a lot of verbal abuse and some physical abuse in the house, and we're okay with that. Like actually, my sister and I, we talk about all that history so that we can rewrite our own history. You know what I mean? And build our own legacy.
So growing up in Seattle, so you
Mhm.
identify as Filipino and native then.
I identify with everything that I am. You know what I mean? At this stage, I mean,
Hmm.
of course, when you grow up in the hood, you try to, I was identify with, with my folks that I was rolling with back then, in the African American community because my mother was a single parent, so we stayed in the,
It's in the hood.
I want to say we have in the hood, but not it wasn't projects because the projects are different. You know what I mean? But it was a hood on Beacon Hill,
Exactly.
the
Like
old school Logan Vista apartments. Exactly. Yeah.
the hood looks different in Seattle than it does in other places. Like I will never ever say, you know what I'm saying? Because
Mm-hmm.
I was born in Cleveland, raised in Cincinnati. So my heart is in Ohio. And I know the hood.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I'm saying from Cincinnati and Cleveland. Like I know it.
Right.
Um, and I moved here in the 90s and it was a different kind of hood.
The '90s was different, right? Definitely was
Our whole point is like the hood exists.
exactly.
It might not be visual, it might not be aesthetically hood here, but
There's this big thing too, right? About
hood mentalities here.
right. I think there's a big thing too about ghettos not being, ghetto like the Midwest or the East Coast or whatever. But I think if you lived in I lived in a 1-bedroom apartment with my sister and my mother, so we still we had it was poverty across the board. If poverty, whether it's whether you have roaches or rats, you know what I mean. It was just whatever your poison was,
Or bed bugs.
right? Exactly. I mean, everybody had their stuff, right? I mean, ours we had roaches. It was back then. Poverty was different though back then too, because so many kids will never know. I remember my mom, we were so broke one time. I remember my mom used water for our cereal. It was just a different place back then, you know what I mean? And so I was like, wow. When I look at it now, I'm like, wow. Some people would never know that, which is okay, but it definitely was,
So how old are you?
I'm 47.
I'm 46. So you
yeah, just turned 47.
Same lineage. So
In
I'm from the
June.
same lineage.
Exactly.
We use water, evaporated milk.
Right, rice. Yeah. Hey, those
government cheese just like you.
What were those what do you call them? Cinnamon toast sandwiches? Remember them cinnamon? Yeah. I mean, it was so the struggle to better our lives was definitely very real. Like my mother was, even though she was a single parent, she went and got her associate so she could be like a head secretary at a school to better our life. And so that inspired me. I think I always tell people she's one of my inspirations because regardless of holding us down, a lot of people use whatever challenge. I don't want to like knock anyone's challenge, but she didn't use her challenge of having us to keep her from getting her associates and getting and bettering her life. It was no joke, but I was inspired because she just pushed through it and got it. You know what I mean? And
What about Pops?
Pops, you know what? Later, I didn't. In the beginning of, or when I was a teenager, I used to be upset because I didn't understand his history. But I think once you understand, I think a lot of people, there's people out there, you get mad at your parents because you don't understand what they went through, and then when you understand, you can have a little more compassion. So my father actually came out of Texas, Austin, and he was a he was in the foster system. He was a bandit.
So what's your pops? Your pops, is he
black and white? He's black and French.
Oh, so black and white. So, but yeah, you said it. Yeah,
he had the fro exactly. He had the the old school.
I think some people will call Creole.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so he had a hard life. So I had a compassion later on in my life once I found out he was abandoned and he was in the foster system and just had it real bad. And so before he had got to my mother, he had been married 5 times or something like that. Yeah, and it was just
damn.
He was just in a bad cycle, but he was a domestic abuser. So because of the abandonment issues, right? And so,
oh man, that's horrible.
He was wounded. Then he went to Vietnam, and so his mind was gone. And so
to Vietnam too. Yeah.
So I remember him when I was younger being he was rational and aware, but then I watched him over the years deteriorate, and then he ended up living on the streets. And I'm assuming he passed because he was, on the streets for like years in high school, and
man,
but I respect. Again, I looked when I heard his history, he gave me more compassion to understand he was just living by default. You know what I mean? He wasn't aware. He did the best he could. I heard he was like I heard stories later that he was like before all that, he was like at the UW, a top student at one point. But life just boom hit him, and he went to Vietnam and came back and just wasn't the same. You know what I mean? And so,
damn,
yeah,
that's deep.
Yeah, and so. Yeah, and so
I think
yeah.
I think I can say the same thing for my father.
Yeah.
Yeah, man, that's deep, man. And my from what my family members tell me,
Mm-hmm.
and from what my father tells me remotely, it was the same story for him. He wasn't the same.
Yeah.
Yeah. So how did this humor come into play, Chris?
You know, it's always
Indians,
right.
a rare breed. How
Yeah,
did you get into it?
you know, it was always there. You know, when you're growing up, you're always silly, and you know, I grew up watching like Robin Williams, Richard Pryor, and you know, I always was a funny, charming guy. You know, when I was growing up, my mother passed away when I was 15,
Mm.
but a few years before that,
So you grew up without a mother or a father.
after 15, yes, I moved in with my cousins, and it was whoo.
Oh my goodness.
And so I'll ease into that part, yeah. But it was whoo. It's been a journey.
What's your
Uh,
mother pass away from?
she had an aneurysm, yeah,
Oh,
and so it was,
I never
yeah,
knew that, bro. Man,
yeah, yeah,
that's crazy.
yeah, yeah.
I mean,
And
you're
so,
such a good person, man, and you're so dope, and you have that energy.
thank you, man. I mean,
It brings light. It makes sense that
mhm,
you lost your mother and your father at a young age
mhm.
because it can turn people one way or the other. When
No,
you have
absolutely.
that traumatic loss at a young age, it can make you a really good person.
All
It can
right,
make you a really bad person, or you could be in the middle.
right.
And it makes sense that you're really a person. You're a dope dude. Like
Mm,
you do little good people stuff that I noticed. You know what I mean?
mm.
Last time I saw you at Nate Jackson's,
Mhm.
you were like, "How come you here and I see you have a live?" And I was like, "Oh, because
Yeah,
I schedule it like that." He's like, "Oh, okay, cool." And not to mention, you're the person that I call to get into the club.
right, right, right.
But the fact that you knew I had a live, it's like you support me.
Oh yeah, no doubt.
You always support me. And it's crazy, you know. So that's that, man. Like you've always been like a really good dude, like a good person. So it makes sense that you had those experiences, those
Oh
traumatic
man,
experiences,
yeah.
because it makes sense that you're a good person. Because you're like, I'm not gonna treat nobody how I felt.
Right, right, right. Exactly. Yeah,
You know what I'm saying?
yeah.
Like losing your mom at 15 is a traumatic experience.
Exactly.
And you were like, when I go out in life, I'm gonna use humor and I'm gonna
Yes.
be a friend to person the complete opposite how I felt when I lost my mom.
Oh, absolutely.
That's that's what makes all this sense to me. Like,
Mm.
oh, no wonder Chris is like always like you have this good energy, man. That's it.
Thanks, man. No, I mean, you're right. I mean, I think you when you go through that kind of change, you know, everyone has that point where they can either go choose to go down that dark side or be in the middle and go back and forth, or choose to like transmute it, almost like, you know, some very alchemy like, right, to take all that and channel it for something for good, or even like you said, make that choice. Like I try to give people the benefit of the doubt before writing them off. We live in a culture where it's easy to just cut people off, and it's like, oh, I'm not fooling with this person because they just offended me. But I'm like, what hurt in them caused them to offend me? So I can hopefully maybe try to connect with that before I try to just cut them off. So I can give them a little bit of hope to come out of that, because sometimes that's all they need is just a little, you know, someone to understand them
Is
just a
that where
little
the
bit.
humor came in?
What's that?
Is that where the humor came in?
Definitely, that's part of it, because I feel like,
Let's talk about that.
yeah,
When did you know you were a stand-up comedian? Because we're a rare breed, bro.
right. I think when I was like 10 or 11, before my mother passed away, my mother saw me.
10 or 11?
Yeah, my mother saw it in me then because, and I'm so grateful that she did because I used to do like Eddie Murphy impersonations in high school, and I was really, man, I was always on. And then for my birthday, she bought me tickets to see Raw at the Coliseum with.
I see the picture behind you.
Exactly. So I saw,
That's
and
a
it was.
influence.
I would say he definitely was a major. I mean, going to see him and Paul Mooney at 11 years old, man, whew, I was like, I want to do that. And in my mind, I was like, I want to be the next Eddie Murphy. Or, I want to be, you know what I mean? I want to do that. And so it was always there. But I think when my mother passed away, the dreams get pushed under the rug because, life happens and you can't see anything good when you're like in that space. You can't even really see tomorrow. You're just kind of seeing, you're out of the moment. You know what I mean? And so,
yeah.
And so that dream was like suppressed for a long time until like, 8 or 9 years ago, where I started doing work on myself. You know how it is. You start clearing out the stuff and saying, okay, what, have I done the things that I really want to do in my life? And I think it was like on a retreat, and it came up that I needed to, like, the one thing I regret not doing was the comedy. So I was like, well, I'm just going to go ahead and throw myself into it. But I also think mentioning that I was a minister for 10 years, I feel like it was always in my heart to want to serve people and make them better. But I knew it wasn't traditionally in the church like that. It was from a gift. And I feel like with comedy, I can go out there and help them laugh about life and hopefully, get a different perspective when they leave. You know what I mean? And so,
all right, so first comedy experience, what was that?
My first time on stage?
Stand-up comedy experience. You bombed?
No, actually, I did real good. Actually, you know what? It was actually in the church. It was funny. It was.
So you grew up in like Christian comedy?
No, actually, it was funny. Is I didn't do Christian. That was crazy. I didn't do Christian comedy. I did. I was sitting in the audience, and this guy was bombing, and then I think he like tried to hit me in the crowd, and I was like, dude, I'll get up.
Yeah,
Stop
yeah.
It.
When I go to stand-up comedies, like the last time
we
were together.
Yeah.
Dude, what's the dude's name? Kenner?
Yeah.
Yeah. He had a whole bunch of jokes, and he hit me because I was in the front row. I was like, man, this is what I do. You feel me? And then we talked about that afterwards. But yeah.
Yeah.
He was like, I could tell you a stand-up comedy.
Oh, because the way you were interacting with him?
Yeah, because I was like, man, go ahead, get it off, man.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
There's people that I've been in the front row and they've hit me like, and I was like, nah, bro, you don't want to do this, man.
Right.
Do this. Like,
yeah, no.
Stand-up comedian. Like, I really do this. And they were like,
yeah. I'm like, yeah. Right.
And they went to the next person,
Right. But yeah, so I'm at the church and this guy is bombing and he shouldn't be doing comedy. And he calls me up, oh, so you think you're better? You think you're better? You think you can do it? I was probably my mid-20s, probably about that time.
Okay.
And so I get up there.
I'm better than him.
I'm like, I can do that. Are you kidding me? And then I get up there and just kill him, and then I kill the crowd. And I'm like, and it wasn't even Christian material. I was just, it wasn't bad. It wasn't negative material, but it was just the gift coming up. You know what I mean? I was like, ooh, this is something that's, resident. I need to go ahead so it made me look at it for a little bit, but I didn't.
Exactly.
And then I think I went up again and didn't do as well. But of course, that's what happens in comedy in general, right? And so, And so then I fast forward really to a few years, and I'm a few years in the maybe early 2000s, right, where I see there's this Tony Benton does this contest at the Columbus City,
I
and
did it.
I DJ'd, right. Now I think you did it, and that kind of sparked me back because who was it? What was the lady that was hosting? She had won before.
Oh yeah,
Who was talking about?
I
I
can't
can't
remember
think
her
of her
name.
name,
I know who you're talking about though.
but she ended up starting a open mic at the old school club around the corner on
In Federal Way.
in Rainer Avenue. Do you remember that old school?
In Federal Way too though.
She did. Okay, she did. There was a what's the name of that club though? It's an old Chinese club. Martin Luther King. No, not Martin Luther King, but Rainier Avenue. It's right off of what's that? Not Othello. I don't know why I can't think of it right now.
Anyway, she started a club.
And then she just challenged me. She was like, you're a comedian. You know, you should go up. And so I was like, no. And then she just introduced me, and I went up. And I was like, I need to, actually, that was part of it. I'd already been dealing with probably a couple months before then. I was like on a retreat, and it came up in my like working on myself. Like that was one thing that I regretted doing. So then when that opportunity came up for the open mic, I was like, okay, it just made sense. It all clicked.
And you killed.
Yeah, that one I did. Yeah, that one did. Yeah.
All right, I'm gonna do this.
Yes.
Give me the joke. Give me one joke from your set that was dope. You don't remember it? Because I remember when I killed, bro.
You do? I think I
remember the whole set. You don't remember a joke?
I'm trying to remember.
My bad, bro. I didn't
No. I mean, 10 years ago, it wasn't really worth anything. It was more like, because you know how you don't even have any structure back then when you first started. It was just more. I didn't have any like premise, setup, punchline. It was more.
I was in the same competition that you were in, bro.
No, I wasn't in that competition though. It was an open mic. I DJ'd in that
thing, but I was in that though.
Yeah, I remember you were in it because I remember you were and Ashley Russian was in it. That's how I met him.
Exactly.
Yep.
Yep.
But it was after that.
Hey, dude,
yeah.
I wanted,
actually, you inspired me though too, because I saw you doing it, and I saw you getting better over time, and I was like, wow, he's getting better. So you really inspired me. I was like, if he could do it, I need to go ahead and really jump in because I was struggling. I'm serious.
Yeah.
And I'd see you because I remember you were grinding for a while. I was DJing for a while at the different mics sometimes, and then I'd see you. You were working on it. You come back, you get better. Then you just after a while you were getting in there because remember you were doing it. You were working for you getting it in. And so I was like, "Ooh, he's getting tight." I was like, "Man, I need to go ahead and jump in because he's." I mean,
I love that, man.
I'm serious though. I'm serious.
What about you, man? That's like
you come through all fitted up, like you were serious about you. I mean, you with the suit jacket, everything. You know what I mean? But serious though, because I feel like that's how you are. Like, I mean, I'm the same way. Like once I'm in, I'm all in. I'm throwing myself in it. You know what I mean? And so I saw you were getting better over, like that over the time that I saw you, and I was like, okay, I need to really like get serious with this because
we need to work on some stuff.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So
talk about we need man. Thanks for the love, bro.
No, yeah, for sure, man. Come on.
It's not every day that, especially a fellow comedian, says that, and when a fellow comedian says that joint, you know what I mean? It's like you really feel it, because that's why you're on the show, because we know each other from the open mics. I seen you at Tiffany Wilson's thing when you were hosting that, and you were folks, and that's how I knew you like got affinity towards Prince. Like,
right, yeah, exactly.
But we need to, we need to get together and work on that. Where you at right now? So tell people about your capacity, what the Nate Jackson comedy experience that he got going on. He opened up his new club. That's tremendous.
Right.
What's your capacity, bro? As a stand-up comedian, as a writer,
Mm-hmm.
where you at in your career, bro?
I feel like, I'm 8 years in it, right? So I feel like
That's
like,
it.
yeah, just 8 years.
Oh, you hella young. You 8 years old.
That's what I'm saying. Exactly. So I feel like I'm 8 years old. I feel like I'm, like an 8-year-old, right? I mean, I feel like I can talk. I'm coming into my voice a little more because of, um, what's helped me is I think understanding. A lot of people try to this generation's like this, right, where they don't lean into experience
Mm.
because we've fallen away from that.
Break that down. They don't lean into experience. Break that down.
No, so I came out of losing my mother at 15, and you kind of talk about this already in a lot of your work, but
Mm.
I was looking for myself and my manhood, if you will. So I sought out. I had like 7 different. I need to write a book because like I had like 7 different mentors and men in my life that I leaned into to find different qualities because I was like trying to work that out within me, and only a man could had this. I remember I had this guy. He was a bishop in Trinidad, and he would call me every month just to tell me he loved me, and I was so big for me as a man. But I remember him telling me that, but in order to be a father, you have to learn how to be a son first. So just embrace being a son. And I was like, wow, I thought that was so powerful to me because he was right. It's like you can't just be a father without understanding the love of another father.
Mm-hmm.
So I allowed him to I allowed these men to really just embrace me in their own ways. You know what I mean? Whether it was tough love or whether it was like compassion. And so through that, you learn how to be coached. I think also too, that's the thing. You learn how to be like, sometimes you need a man to tell you, go sit down and just relax, sit your little self down. You know what I mean? It teaches us how to ground ourselves really. Cause at the end of the day, okay, I need to just chill. Cause you learn that from another coach. And I think that's why a lot of, young cats end up connecting with their coaches at that level. Cause they don't have a man that's really giving them that resistance, because we have all this pent up aggressive energy. And, I think fathers or coaches or mentors, they help to kind of ground that so we can master that as men. You know what I mean? And so I took that experience. I take all that coaching experience and bring it into comedy and help and around these elder cats and just let them speak, or I'm around them so that the apples could fall off and just go ahead and grab,
What's your style? How does that all lead to your comedic style? Some days I call myself a comedian.
Yeah.
Days I call myself a humorist, because not all things that make people laugh result in an actual laughter.
Absolutely.
I call myself a humorist. Like I can say some really, really funny stuff and you don't laugh. If you ever went to an open mic and the majority of people in the crowd were people who were waiting to get on the open mic, when you tell a dope joke, people don't laugh. They'd be like,
yeah, right.
That's a good joke.
Right, exactly.
So
I would say,
what's your style, bro?
I think I would say I'm more I like the combination. So I'm physical, but I also what's the word? I would say I want to give you some of the sweet stuff, but then also put a little truth in there too, to kind of so it brings a little healing. You know what I mean? And so or helps you to make life a little more light.
I would describe myself as an observational.
Exactly, that too.
Comedian. Like I make observations.
And most of the great ones are going to be like, hey, look at this, and let's talk about this truth in this observation. You know what I mean? And so, I'm just, of course, I want to get more depth into that, and so it's, I think also too the blessing about our us being comics at this stage. I remember one of my mentors was saying this was the real comics or comedians have wisdom. The ones we admire, they're wise, and I feel like because we're building up that wisdom, as we dig, we're able to bring those nuggets into our comedy and really help people be like, okay, I never saw it like that. You know what I mean? Or I've never heard it like that. And
You write jokes?
what's that?
You write jokes? Or
Yeah,
or is it
I'm trying. I'm trying. What's that? I'm trying to get better at it. I feel like I'm not as. I'm my worst critic though.
My question is,
Mm-hmm.
some comics don't write jokes. They might have write a word, but they don't write the joke out. How do you process your joke math? You write it out, or are you off the top?
No, I always try to have a concept or a truth,
Mm-hmm.
and then I work it into a bit, an idea, and then whatever it evolves from there once it hits the stage. But it always has to be like a truth or a concept, and then then I work it out, and then I'll like either call a few of my friends and get tags so I can get more legs, and then I go up on stage and let it work itself out more. And
You do jokes like that, bro. You call your friends up and like, this is a joke.
yeah, just to get tags, because sometimes you hit a block, create a block, and you need someone else to go bump it off, and then they'll be like, okay, boom, thanks.
Yeah, that's not my training. My training is if I have a joke, I'm just gonna insert it into the conversation. You feel me?
Yeah, yeah.
And then I wait and see if they laugh or not.
Mm-hmm. Sometimes
jokes. I'm telling jokes constantly.
Yeah.
You feel me?
I
like,
think
if
yeah.
we have more,
yeah.
I'm constantly telling jokes.
Yeah.
Based off of observations. You feel me?
No, absolutely, absolutely. I think I'm at a place now where I definitely know when something's going to work or it doesn't now. But if I hit something, if I hit a block with my writing or if I hit a block with a joke, I'll call up a friend and be like, I don't know what's going on with this block, and I'm open to get. They're OGs. Most of the time, I'll call up and be like, okay.
Is that friend an actual comic though? Okay.
Yeah.
Put me on the list.
It's an OG. It's an OG. You should know. Matter of fact, I'm starting on Mondays.
The Ralph Porters.
Yeah, yeah. The Ralph when Ralph was here, I definitely would throw some up.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
but Tyrone Hawkins, he's out of Cincinnati.
Yeah,
and just other people that you set up your with the mentors and the homies, and I'll be like, or Nate, even Nate, Nate Jackson. I'll be like, hey, what do you think about this? Either is it good or should I? It all depends on the joke, though. It depends on more. The more I grow, the less I need to do that because I'm like, okay, I understand my style and what I'm doing. So
let me ask you something.
Yep.
Is joke writing a legitimate career?
I think it can be. It can be. I think I'm trying to get myself more in the rhythm to write more regular because I feel like I can. You know how you ever start writing and you're like, okay, I can write this. This joke isn't for me. I need to give it to someone else. Or once I get to know someone, I could actually start. I've written stuff for someone else and be like, this is how you should. This joke should be for you. Or I'll give them. And so but I need to do it more regular. That's the problem. Is like I'll be up and down with it, or I'll get a few jokes and then I'll stop writing.
Because part of the reason why I asked that question is we were involved in an independent feature film together.
Oh yeah, yeah.
So we're in a film together. We're in an independent film, and so the reason why I asked that question is you see how the industry works. You feel me?
Right. Yeah.
In it.
Yeah.
And there was a script that was given to us.
Yes. Yes.
Imagine if you could write a script and when you give it to someone, they give you money back. And I think that's where we want to get at. You know what I mean? Like to the
You
point
know,
where we're
I just
selling our creative content. Which brings me to my next question.
mhm.
What do you think about the whole censorship, cancel culture around
Mhm.
comedy? And I'm going to give you a reference point. Dave Chappelle's last thing
Yeah,
he did, his last comedy special, The
yeah.
Close.
You know,
Expand, unpack that. When you tell a joke, what does it mean when you tell a joke? When you do a bit, what does it mean? Explain that to the people.
so let me say this first. Like, so I was watching a podcast by a mentor of mine, and he was talking about how
I want to say names.
it was Russell Peters, right? And so,
Okay. Oh, he's
yeah,
an extraordinary comic.
yeah,
And
yeah.
here, that dude is good.
He's a beast.
That him
But I was you know,
before?
and I had a chance to see his new special is going to be fire because he's talking about the cancel culture. But he said something on this podcast recently that I thought was powerful. He talked about how comedians are truth givers, right? We're the and the culture. We're the ones that should be telling the truth no matter what, whether no matter how it tastes. And I always believe that. I feel like comedians are the real prophets in the culture. We're the
Mm-hmm.
ones that are saying like, look at this right here,
Mm-hmm.
because other people can't, and we can make it funny. But sometimes it's not funny, and we got to go ahead and just say, hey, this this mess is going on because it needs to just be addressed in the culture.
You can
And I
guess.
and I feel like what's that?
You can guess.
Yeah, you know
Go
what I mean. And so
ahead.
this shit, but it's I, it's crazy, right? Because we came up in a culture where with Eddie Murphy's and Damon Wayans in Living Color, and that's one of the things I respect. I respect the Damon Wayans because he hasn't changed a bit in the way he shows up on stage, and that's what I love about Russell Peters too. Is he's very truthful. He's not trying to just get the low hanging fruit. He's trying to really get it. He's getting his ideas out there, and but he's also connecting with you. That's what I like about him is that he's connecting with you. He's getting that truth out there, and he's hitting you with the jokes. You know what I mean? And so, I believe Dave Chappelle really did us a service, really, by going out and addressing it, because I feel like comics, all the greats we know went out there. Whether it's no matter who it was, they addressed issues, and sometimes you were like, ooh. But it was real, and I feel like that's the problem with we can't really heal as a culture until we're able to get back to that place where we can take truth at that level again. Because I feel like we're like, don't say that, and it's like, no, but
Question for you:
yeah,
how you navigate thinking something is funny when you know it offends someone? Let's be clear.
yeah,
Let's talk about our LGBTIA.
yeah,
You know what I'm saying? Community, our gay friends, our trans friends.
yeah.
How do you navigate? Man, that was a funny joke. And then you look into your people who are a part of that community and says, "No, that hurt. That wasn't funny." How you navigate that?
You know what? Let's see. I just put it straight out there because I feel like a lot of people they're sensitive. They get sensitive to that. Comedy is all about uplifting, and so sometimes everybody gets hit. It's like you're in a family.
Mm-hmm.
You're gonna get hit. You're gonna get picked on at some point. It doesn't mean that you're hated. I think there's a difference, and I feel like that's why I disagree with a lot of the cancel culture, because if we can't go up on stage and talk about everything, then we're giving our power. The power is given away, or why even go up? I'm not saying that we should. There's a difference between comedy that is, what's the word? What's the word I'm looking for? It's There are people that try to go up there and be funny, and there's no structure to it. So yeah, they're trying to be funny, and they're talking about if you're talking about someone to degrade them or take away their value, I don't believe in that. But I feel like, when you go up there and talk about a subject and you talk about the truth, it's gonna hit people different ways. And so I think we have to be able to allow that to happen, because I feel like that's the key to our healing. Because let's get away from that for a minute, because who was I talking to about? I had a conversation with a friend about this, and I was like, "But I'm African American, so you're complaining about an issue of minority, but I'm really African American. That's what I live with. You know what I mean? But yours is a choice on that end, and it wasn't like I wasn't trying to knock them, but I feel like sometimes there's a fine line between a lot of it."
What was the choice that you were referring to? What's the choice?
They're talking about how some injustices they were dealing with, and I was like, well, that's kind of, and I'm like, don't try. The comparison is, you know what I mean? Because like all of it, I'm corporate America, I'm black. You know what I mean? Period. I've always been black in corporate America. You know, I'm not mixed. No, you's a nigga. You know what I mean? Really, I was a nigga.
Yeah.
No, nigga, you're a nigga. I mean, white folks is, for real. I remember white folks is like, okay, that's how they relate to me. They didn't know how to relate to me other way. In the corporate, I am, and I've had like, I remember I was working with this one guy, and he was like, do you like Cadillacs or something like that? But he was really real. He didn't know how to relate to me. And I was African American. He was like, I don't want to go there. He didn't know. It's ignorance, but I feel like you can't get away from this. It's different.
It's the eyes for me.
What's that? Yeah, exactly. So
those are your strongest African.
Exactly. And so
same with me.
And here's the thing I've learned, I don't know. So I'm not taking nothing away from anyone's struggle. So I don't want people to be like, right. Oh, he's saying, no, that's not the case. But I'm like, it's the culture. If we're going to deal with something, let's deal with the culture, and the cultural issue, or let's do, or what, and not like a little bit of part of it, because it becomes something that is it becomes what I feel like it almost becomes privilege to a certain point. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That makes sense? So I wasn't trying to get super deep like that, but I'm just but
so let's keep
that's life though. That's our lives though too at the same time, right? I mean, so
let's keep it semi super deep. So
exactly right.
My last question for you.
Yeah.
How do we use hurt as humor and then transform that hurt through humor to heal?
I think I know it may sound too simple, but we gotta talk. We gotta talk about it. We gotta talk about it and laugh at it, and by doing that, we're able to give the power away that it had over us. Because a lot of us we don't even want to talk about it, and it's like this hurts, and it's made me act crazy. So I gotta go ahead and talk. We talk about the behavior that this had control over me, but because I can talk about it now, it can evaporate and doesn't have the hold that it used to have on me. That's why I think about my life. I was an orphan, since I was 15. You know what I mean, and so I went and stayed with my cousins. So when my mother passed away, my sister and I were separated the same year. You know what I mean, and so my mother was like the source of all love. I went to I knew my family, but not, my mother was like a love you every day. I went from I love you every day to like almost no affection, no sense of connection like that. And so I would consider myself, I was definitely an orphan for most of those years until I learned to, like I told you, to lean into those mentors and those men and women. I would say men and women because I don't want to count out, the women that were also mentors,
Mhm.
and let them add to me or pull from me what I needed to be pulled and coach me into healing and stuff like that. So,
Mm.
but we got to talk about it though. You got to talk about it at whatever level that is for you. But I feel like as comedians, yeah, we got to go back to talking about the hurt so that other people can open up and say, you know what, I have that too. You know what I mean? Let me go ahead and start looking at that. Yeah.
What is a joke topic that is fresh on your list right now that you're creating jokes around?
That's a big one though. So I am actually, you know what? Going into this year, it was funny because I've been pondering about how to talk more about my about my life and about the challenges I've come through
You're
and how to
always
flip,
gonna strike gold with that, bro. You're always gonna strike gold with telling your story.
Yep. And
And,
so,
and
and I had a few mentors that were like, you know what, you need to write more about that. And I feel like that's coming. It's this next year. I'm gonna start slowly, but and then turn it into something.
talking about your life.
Yep.
That's your new.
Moving away from the low hanging fruit, but going here. Exactly. Yep.
Yep.
Because it's always easy to the booty. I call them booty scratching jokes. You know what I mean? The low hanging.
Yep.
That's easy, but to go here is a whole different. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so
we end every show of Seed Talk with what is the plan of action? How do we use humor to heal? If I were to ask you that question in the form of an action plan,
okay.
how do you use humor to heal?
I would say I would use a formula that I got from one of my coaches, and I feel like all pain and all challenges I think come from like two key areas, right? So one of them is telling ourselves the truth. We talked earlier about like being able to talk about it, and I feel like a lot of us live in a different reality than the reality that we need to heal. So I think you have to tell yourself the truth. So when you hear humor, you got to be honest enough to be like, hear humor that hits a chord with you. Or if I'm going to share something that's, going to bring healing, being honest enough to say that's me. Okay, you know what? Wow. I got to look at that and be honest enough to be like, okay, that's me, and bring it into the awareness. Because, even myself, like for years, I would try to shut all that hurt under a rug or not talk about it or isolate, before I connected with the mentors. And then I think also, so being in awareness, but also being vulnerable enough to share it with someone else, talk about it, like we said, right? So I would say that's the second one. And then just write. If I say writing every day, I think builds that relationship with yourself. You know what I mean?
Yes. Yeah.
I mean, I love the journal. When I'm journaling every day, it definitely, and where I get most of my material, I'm aware of my thoughts. I'm like, wow, I didn't even know that was still there, or you know what I mean. And then I'm able to like,
I journal every day,
shed some tears, or I'm able to just, wow, I didn't know that was heavy on my heart. And so, writing every day is almost like a simple. You don't even have to go to counseling for that. You can just write every day, and it'll start to come out of you. Yeah. And then I would say, the last thing is a practice. I would say is the most important spiritual practice I think I've learned. I've learned a lot of amazing things on my path. Forgiveness, forgiving myself and then other people. But yourself is the biggest one because it's easy to forgive other people, but then hold a grudge with yourself and not let yourself enjoy life or not give yourself permission to be great. You know what I mean? And so I think once as a piece of myself, now I'm like, I can give myself the permission to be great and not in an arrogant way. I'm going to be great and I don't care about everyone else. No, it's not even about that. It's about me being okay with giving myself permission to be authentic and be real and just be seen in the world. You know what I mean? And so,
yeah.
you know.
Add on to that, to your plan of action or action plan to end this show, I would say include humor in all your relationships.
Absolutely, yes.
That should be, you know, your emergency plan. That should be your
Absolutely.
call out. Like when all else fails, say something funny.
Exactly. You got to practice humor. I think every day you got to laugh at life. Laugh at when even if something serious comes up. Sometimes you just got to laugh at it because you can't do anything about it, or you think about the ridiculousness in certain situations and just laugh.
Yeah.
Because a lot of things are out of our control, and it's usually silly. You know what I mean? So,
man, it's been great, man.
Man.
Part 2.
Yes, absolutely. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Part 2 coming soon. We out. Seed Talk, inbox. Give them your handles, Chris.
You can get me. I am on Instagram at I am Chris Zapata, and I have a podcast I usually do. We've slowed down a little bit. Also at Russian Zapata Talk. That's Rush with an N, and Zapata Talk on Instagram. I don't really do anything on Twitter, but I am on. You can catch me on Facebook. Just
you can put your handles in the comments. We gonna get you.
Yep, exactly. Yep, absolutely.
And we gonna get a part 2 going on this, man.
Yep. Oh, absolutely, man. Because we was only touching the surface with some of those topics. Yeah. Right? So yeah, absolutely.
All right, bro. We out.
But I appreciate you.